All right, Final Four in San Antonio. It is chalk on the River Walk. Duke and Houston, by the way, will be the highest combined Ken Palm ratings ever for a game. Going to be a banger.
Awesome.
But 4.5-point favorite is Duke against Houston. Florida's a 2.5-point favorite against Auburn with the uncertainty of Broome, if he'll be able to have an arm available for the game. Jacob Bigelow joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, boys. How's it going?
Good. How was the move?
The move was good. Not the best weekend for it weather-wise, but we got it done. We got it out of the way. I know some people saw me say I was moving, and they're like, "Are you? Where are you moving to?" And they thought I was, headed elsewhere. I'm still here. I just, breaking news. Source confirms I am still here. So.
Okay.
How's the back? How's the knees? Is there anything hurting this morning, or do we have a sprained wrist? I mean, is there any issues?
No ailments.
Wow,
no injuries.
Give it a few years.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that roaring endorsement of my physical state. But no, aside from seasonal allergies, no ailments today.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, I'm with you because I used to have hay fever really bad, and then as I got older, it disappeared. It has come back nonstop, like in the last 2 weeks. So I'm glad that you cleared up that it's not just, I got an issue or something, that it's allergies. There's a lot of pollen in the air, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Too much pollen. Entirely too much pollen.
How do we get rid of that pollen in the air? You got a solution?
I don't.
Less weather balloons?
I'm not. Yeah, they're trying their hardest.
Spray?
That's the idea, but no. I don't know what the recipe would be. If I was as corny as some people think I am, I would have responded with, "There's so much pollen in the air, but there should be college basketball crown fever in the air." But I am not that corny. I don't know the solution to get rid of the pollen.
Okay, on that note, do you think that the stuff that they spray in bowling shoes is the most powerful thing ever?
Yes, by far.
It's up there for sure, and I don't think it's been talked about enough. I'm thankful you've brought this to the forefront of the discourse on this fine Monday morning. Yeah, no, whatever they spray in the bowling shoes, I mean,
Could
people have been
COVID.
trying. Yeah, they've been trying to do like deodorant. People are still, going Degree or Old Spice or whatever. None of that, holds a candle to whatever it is that the bowling alleys have a monopoly on to, spray in those shoes.
You know what? Jimmy, you brought up COVID.
Yes,
like, I'm
people forget it.
surprised that the fine operators of bowling alleys, they just didn't say, hey, all of that stuff you have that you spray in the shoes, that is like the most powerful stuff ever.
Spray in your
just
face.
go outside.
We got the stuff.
Just go outside and when they spray for mosquitoes, let's just walk around the neighborhood just spraying that stuff in the air to kill COVID.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that was not suggested, because there were a lot of stuff that was suggested back in the day, if you recall.
There'd
And
be
this
way
makes
more
more
coughing
sense.
during COVID if that were the case.
Yeah. All right. On that note, because I'm sensing that you do not want to talk about your move. So
I mean, there's not much to talk about.
Yeah.
So
Better. Do you have
straightforward.
you used to have knuckleheads that the way they parked in your parking lot? Is it more secure?
Yeah.
Like, are you in a place that there's never been a murder?
As far as I know, there has never been.
Okay, you can look that up. There's a website.
I'm gonna.
Probably should
doubt.
have done it before he moved into the
seance?
place.
I think I'm gonna doubt that there's been a murder where I moved
Okay.
to. But
Say hello
that
to
may
Mom and
just
Dad.
be my own personal bias. No, not doing that. But.
Okay. So Michigan State loses yesterday. They maxed out that roster. Did not have a first or second team all-conference guy. Probably there were a couple other teams that were built to go longer in the tournament, but Michigan State made it all the way to the Elite Eight. But that's now 25 years in a row that the Big Ten has not won a conference or a national championship in basketball. Is that stat overrated when it comes to talking about the Big Ten?
It's 50-50. It definitely, we live in a town where people want to take credit for, national championships over the last X amount of years when the conference they're in was completely different. So, conference cheering and conference rooting, it has a mind of its own. It's a Big Ten, basketball, the Big Ten basketball thing. It's going to be like, it's the scarlet letter for the league in hoops as long as it carries on. I almost got the sense that like Big Ten teams like performing well through the first couple of weeks was a part of why people were like, this sucks, this is boring, because they weren't like able to bag on the Big Ten and be like, well, there's no Big Ten teams again, ha ha ha. But like they still held their own for the most part. I think all the Big Ten teams that made it to the second weekend got knocked out by one seeds or two seeds. I think I forget what the because Michigan lost to Auburn, Michigan State lost to Auburn, and Purdue lost to Houston. And was there a fourth Big Ten team? I forget. That tells you how locked in I was. But I think that's kind of my comparison for it. It's kind of it's the scarlet letter on the league until something changes.
But should it be? I mean, this is a conference that was built on football. We make it sound like the Big Ten is this incredible basketball conference. Now, they have had opportunities, and some teams have come up short that are really, really good. The Big Ten has won 3 national titles in college basketball since 1987. Indiana in 87, Michigan 2 years later, and then Michigan State in 2000. That's the history of basketball in the Big Ten. Yeah. It's a football conference with a commissioner that is a football guy. It would be great to be all encompassing.
Everything's football brand, though, Gary.
Yes.
Like we're sitting here in Omaha, Nebraska, talking about college basketball when there are people employed by your radio station that have been itching to talk about spring practice for the last 2 weeks because they think that's relevant and that's what needs to be talked about in the month of March. The Big Ten wants
the
Big Ten.
Wow.
The Big Ten the Big Ten wants to pride itself on hoops. Like, yeah, it's a football conference. Yeah, it's football. But I mean, it's always like it's not like they're some like haphazard, half-assed, basketball conference. They care. There are a ton of schools in this league that care, and that's why that's why it's discussed this time of year. Yeah, my apologies for people who want to talk about spring practice in March for a football team that'll be lucky to win 8 games next year. My apologies.
Are you on that show?
No.
No.
And if he was, he won't be.
All right.
No.
Not invited back.
No.
Jimmy and John are great people.
No, I mean it's football season. It's March. Cry me a river. Like, it's not football season. It's the spring. There are other things to talk about other than a mediocre college football program that wants to pretend like it's nationally relevant. Give me a break.
All right, so Huskers Illustrated will not be sending you down to practice this week. Okay.
Oh, jeez. I'll ask you a basketball question just to stay safe. I don't want to feel the wrath of Bigelow. Hey, there's one coach in this pod, I guess, or this Final Four, that has had an incredible amount of success with a program that he took over that beforehand hadn't had a lot of success, and that's Kelvin Sampson at Houston. Before Sampson took over at Houston, they had made it to one NCAA tournament since 1992. Now, they've gone 8 straight years where they haven't had double-digit losses. They've made a Final Four. Now their second Final Four. They've made multiple Sweet 16, Elite Eights, all that stuff. If Kelvin Sampson wins and Houston wins the national championship, is it safe to say that he should be considered the best coach in college basketball?
I don't know about the best coach in college basketball. I think he is still criminally underrated and underappreciated, and I think he has not gotten nearly enough, nearly enough love nationally for what he's done at Houston since he's got there. I think he's like the ultimate, like, if hoop heads have always think the world of Kelvin Sampson, and then the people who maybe come in late, they're like, well, I gotta learn something about these teams at the NCAA tournament. They're like, oh, there's Houston again. But what Kelvin Sampson's done at Houston, they came straight into the Big 12, and they've won it 2 straight years. They're back in the Final Four. It's been quite the run for him in Houston, and they were my pick before the tournament started, and I would love to see him add a national championship to a pretty already impressive resume for an impressive basketball life.
Jacob Bigelow, who is just starting all kinds of fires this morning. joins us.
It's always on our show, too, that he decides to start the fires.
Yeah, do you do this when you're on with Happer?
He doesn't crap talk anybody or like throw any shots to anyone when he's on with Happer. But with us, apparently, this is when you get to free ball a little bit. You get to throw out your discretions toward people.
I'm sorry. Would you rather I not be offensively myself?
I kind of love it.
Would you rather I want to blow
This is a safe
sunshine about
space.
some third string linebacker who looks good in drills for 20 minutes and pretend like he's going to contribute? Like, no,
Gabe Stanger
that's
actually looked really good, but continue on. I'm not being honest.
Yeah, sure. No, sure thing. No, no. If you want to get sold a bill of goods about the state of that program, I know a guy who gets paid multiple millions to do it, and I'm sure he'll talk to the media this week. So he'll gladly, give you the pyramid scheme sales pitch.
All right, so you need something positive with male sports talk about in Nebraska. How about that Mark Manning? No, on a different note. Let's stick with basketball. Give me the sales pitch or the mindset if you're Bryce Sanford and you have Nebraska and Iowa. What your skill set does at one place, what your skill set does at a whole new style at a place you're more familiar with. How does Nebraska bring this one home to add a three-point shooter to Fred's offense for 25-26?
Yeah, I mean I think he's kind of the perfect fit for both places, both the offenses that are going to get that are going to be ran by both Fred Hoiberg and Ben McCollum. I mean the Iowa thing, it appears to be the ultimate refresh, reset button, top to bottom from what it's been under Fran and going into the Ben McCollum era. And the shooters are always going to be sought after in that offense and how it runs. I'm sure part of the the sales pitch from McCollum to Price may involve some clips of Brian Hawkins. And I'm not saying they're the similar roles of guys who can shoot, come off screens, get good shots, and and thrive in his system. For Nebraska, it's kind of we could have used you out of high school, and it's still kind of the similar. Like we've been searching for someone with your skill set, your frame, your game to come into this offense, for the last couple years. So it's really similar. It's two really good fits, and I know he's kind of the only for sure player Nebraska's been linked to that there's confirmed there was visit and all that sort of thing. But it's definitely he definitely is a puzzle piece that would fit in both places, and Iowa is they're putting the full court press on to try to retain guys that went into the portal.
So, rev share is at least we've been told is coming. I mean, we still need to figure out come July 1st what the actual improvements are and how it's going to work and everything. But for the most part, we know that it's on the way. And a lot of basketball programs out there, especially the ones in the Big Ten and the SEC, know that they're going to have to play second fiddle to football, and that they're going to have to claw and scratch for as much of the pie as they possibly can to continue to be competitive. But there's one conference out there that doesn't have to deal with that, and that's the Big East. And I know that the Big East, they're not going to make as much revenue because they don't have football. Football is such a big part of that, and they don't have that. But at the same time, basketball will be on the forefront of those colleges' minds, right? Do you think that Big East jobs, top to bottom, are now more attractive and more valuable, and coaches want to go there now more because they know they're going to have their hands on the wheel when it comes to rev share?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely it's a case by case, job by job. The rev share is going to be there, but still not all those jobs are created equally.
Sure.
But I think they definitely are going to have more. They're going to have more appeal than previous, for sure. And like you said, there's not going to be the question of resources. There's not going to be the question of is the school more worried about attempting to weekend at Bernie's a football program than giving some resources to to other sports. That's not going to be a question in the Big East moving forward.
Wow. Hey, 70% of the revenue sharing is going to go to football in Nebraska. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, hey, giving all the attention and resources to football, it's done wonders for the last 20 years. It's really worked well. I'm sure, attempting to play Big 12 football in the Big 10 for the second time this decade will go swimmingly. I'm sure I'm expecting it'll be great. Give me all the Kool-Aid for sure.
Who hurt you?
Yeah.
No, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Just curious. You're very angry.
Hey,
You're very
no,
angry.
it's
You
not
sound
my,
like
it's
me,
not my,
and I'm in a good
Nebraska's
mood.
a 5-1 favorite to win the crown.
No,
Yeah, you
it's not
betting
my
it?
job to carry water and sell false hope. So that's not what I'm here to do.
All right.
My apologies.
Look forward to sharing a press box at Arrowhead with you coming up in August.
Haha.
Hey, different note, because I'm interested in your perspective because you follow the program and you know the pieces at Omaha. So Chris Crutchfield has an extension. There were two very serious opportunities for him in the last week in the coaching cycle, but he's not done here, and this place means a lot to him. And also his wife is from here, and her family lives here. So he signs an extension. We do know that he'll be back for the next year. I think it's even more important that his entire staff will be back because they don't get enough credit. I think Crutch's staff is really, really good in recruiting, evaluating, developing, all of those things in game. But now that you've gone to the NCAA tournament, and I know my answer is, but I'm a little biased. The expectations have been raised to what for Omaha men's basketball under Chris Crutchfield moving forward?
I think it's I think it's to be going to Sioux Falls, and I think if you want to be going to Sioux Falls wearing a white jersey and think you've got a chance to make a run, and whether you're I think whether that it's not saying you have to be the top seed and win the league every year, and I'm not saying they're going to be a dynasty in the Summit League, but I think it's you're the first jersey out of the bag in Sioux Falls is a white jersey, and it's the Summit League is always going to be a one bid league. It's going to come down to who wins that last game there, but I think it's going to always the expectation is you're going to Sioux Falls, and there's a path, and you can see a chance where either you're the favorite to get the bid, or you can make a run and make it interesting when it gets down to that final.
Make your pick. Final four. Who you got?
I'm still on Houston, and I know that they were the least picked, one seed, but I'll stick with that. I was on them before the tournament, and I think that's going to be my pick this weekend.
Their biggest deterrent. Who is it? Duke, or is it who they play in the final?
I think it's probably who they play in the final.
Okay.
But I think if they get, but I also I'm kind of torn. I think it's who they play in the final, but I also think whoever wins Duke Houston would be my pick in the final.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think that it's kind of a mixed bag, but I'm looking forward to that game a lot, to say the least.
All right. Do you have time for a backup quarterback question, or do you just want us to move on?
I mean, it's obvious. I mean, yeah. I mean, I got
I'm
whatever.
kidding.
I'm an open book. You can ask me.
I'm kidding.
You can ask me whatever you want, Gary.
Not for air. That's okay. I think you've done enough damage today.
That's for the podcast.
Yeah.
Damage.
Yeah.
Wow.
You put on a gasoline suit and walked into a fire this morning.
Oh no, my apologies.
You were a hurricane today.
It's a Monday. That's I'm just glad
You're wearing a Shedeur Sanders jersey at an 1890 event.
Kindler Jetler Jacob does not exist today.
I love it.
No,
I'm proud of you.
No, and I apologize if I hurt anyone's feelings.
All because you co-hosted on the Zone.
Yeah, sorry.
This is worse than when Cena turned heel. Bigelow turning heel. I didn't have it on my bingo card.
I thought Morgan Wallen was ticked off that he was in New York City until Jacob was being on 1620 today. That's just how it is.
Hey, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be here, and I enjoy chatting with y'all. Sorry that my apologies to fans of Weekend at Bernie's for how I may have offended them this morning.
Terry Kaiser was a KU alum.
149
People
days
don't
for
know
football.
That. Yeah.
Tone setter.
Yeah. No, let's take these 149 days one day at a time. not pretend that anything being said about football in the month of March will be relevant in the fall.
Hey,
for the love of God.
Study Keona Davis and get back to me. All right, my friend?
Yeah.
Hey,
Get ready to learn Connor Booth.
You get ready to learn Connor Booth. If we're learning Connor Booth in the fall, then there's going to have to be some speaks. There's going to have to be some speaks if we're learning Connor Booth in the fall.
We're talking about development by the running back coach. That's what we'll be talking about. Thank you,
that's where we are.
Jacob.
Yep. Bye.
All right.